Hello, everyone. This is Chris B, and welcome to Simply Delicious. In this episode, I'm going to make something that I've not made in a long time. Normally, I make it around the holidays, but I haven't made this since Thanksgiving. Can you think of what it is? All right, I'll tell you what it is. It is sweet potato pie, one of the staples in my family, in our home. What I love is a good sweet potato pie that's made simply delicious. And so, since we're in the quarantine, I'm going to show you how simply you can make it. I don't have all the ingredients that I normally have to make a sweet potato pie because my mom taught me how to make a sweet potato pie when I was about 15 years old. And she showed me the simplest way. So, this recipe that you're going to see tonight is going to be similar to the way that she would make her pie. It's got some variations because I don't have everything that I need, so I'm making do with what I have. Okay, like many of you that's in this quarantine, you're doing the same thing. So, with this pie, I have some water boiling on the stove right now in this pot, and what I'm going to do is add another whole potato in just like this. See how gigantic this potato is? I already got one in the pot, but I'm going to add another potato to the pot. Okay? I'm going to get those potatoes boiling. Okay? And we'll boil those until the fork goes in with ease. Okay? And so in my pie tonight, I'm going to add some almond milk. I'm going to add some granulated sugar. I'm going to have some unsalted butter. And I'm going to add a little bit of nutmeg. And you saw this in one of my other recipes. I wanted cinnamon, but they didn't have any. So I have this pumpkin pie spice, but I'm going to use this just a little bit of it because I don't want it to take over my pie. And I'm going to add some sweetened condensed milk. Okay? And also, I'm going to add a little bit of lemon juice to my pie. All right? So, simple ingredients for a simple pie that is going to be real good. And like I've told you in other videos prior, I'm a cook, so we generally do not measure, okay? We just add things until it tastes the way we want it to taste. So I'm really working, especially with doing these videos, to make sure that I give you a baseline recipe that you can follow, that you can make this pie and get the desired result that you want. Okay? All right, so the potatoes are boiling, and I would say anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes in boiling water, these potatoes need to boil. And then you can go in with a fork and make sure it's done. And the way you know it's done, it will go completely through it with ease. No restriction whatsoever. We don't want any resistance. If you get any resistance, that potato is not done. All right? So we're going to let it boil away, and we'll be back. Okay, so while the potatoes are boiling away and getting soft, what I'm going to do is take this 1/3 cup of sugar here that I have in my glass bowl. Let me turn this down so y'all can see it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 3 teaspoons of flour. Okay. And in this case, I'm using self-rising flour because that's what I have open on hand. But generally, I would use some all-purpose flour. All right. But at this point, it don't really matter. So I'll mix that into the sugar. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some ground nutmeg. And I'm going to use about, let's see, for these 2 large potatoes, I'm going to say about a teaspoon. And that's a rough measurement. Okay. If I can get this open today. There we go. So I'm going to add about a teaspoon of nutmeg in there, dried nutmeg. And then I'm going to add about a 1/4 of a teaspoon of this pumpkin spice that has, it's primarily cinnamon, but it does have allspice in it, which is black pepper, and it has a little bit of ginger. All right. In a normal circumstance, I would not use ginger in my sweet potato pie, but this is going to be good. Okay. So because I only added a little bit, I only need a little touch of that. So I'll mix that in with the sugar, and then bring the camera in here a little bit so y'all can see what's happening up closer. All right, can y'all see? All right, so all I'm doing is just mixing this together with a fork. Like I said, I have 1/3 cup of sugar here in this glass measuring cup. All right, and what I didn't say earlier was also there's 2 eggs that's going to be added into this. All right, so what I have is some soft butter here, and this is about probably about 2 tablespoons, something like that. All right, so I'm just going to kind of mash this in here and kind of cut it into the sugar, because that's what I like to do. All right. All right, and that's of course while the while the potatoes are boiling. Okay. And like I said, you can always add more, but I'm going to start out with a little bit and add as I need it. Okay. So in here, I'm going to go ahead and crack these 2 eggs. On a solid surface, you want to do that, a smooth surface when you're cracking your eggs, and then you want to lift them up as you're dropping them in. So I'm going to mix these eggs in with the sugar. All right, and basically what I'm doing is making a custard. All right, so you see me just mix that in like so, side to side with the fork, up and down. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and open up this 14-ounce can of condensed milk. I'm going to use all of this, okay, because I like a sweet potato pie. I don't like a potato pie that is, so sweet that you can't eat it. But it's got to have enough sweetness to it, otherwise there's no point in me having it, because it is a dessert. All right, so then I'm just going to pour this in here. Okay, actually I'm not going to pour this in there. Okay. Y'all forgive me for that. I had to get rid of that can because I didn't check it, but the date was bad on it. So I was like, nope, I'm not using that one. So this one is in date. This one has an easier opener, so we'll go ahead and do that. The reason why I stopped was because when I opened up the can of milk, it didn't look right. All right, so that's what you want your condensed milk to look like, that. Nice and bright. It shouldn't be brown or anything like that. So I'm just going to add this in here with these eggs and sugar. All right. So I'm just going to whip it together and make it nice and homogeneous like that. Yum, yum, yum. And I'm going to add some more butter, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and stick this butter into the microwave. Okay, and I'm going to heat it up at about 15 seconds, just to get it to soften up a little bit. That's a trick that you can use when you have cold butter. All right, so I'm still whipping this up real nice with my fork here, and I don't need a whisk because everything should be nice and soft, so I don't have to do that. All right. So you want to make sure you get all of that milk out of there. Use everything. Why? Because you can. All right. All right, so I don't have any vanilla flavoring, so I'm gonna add the almond milk with vanilla in it just to give me a hint of an almond flavor, okay? So if you like me, I may do what I have and then I'll still make it work. So I'm just gonna add about a quarter of a cup, I'll say, of this almond milk. And I'm gonna stir that in as well, okay? So we got our good custard going here to add to the potatoes. And I'm just kind of like whipping this down in there. It smells really good. I wish y'all could smell it. So I just basically thinned it out, okay, with the almond milk because it was nice and thick, you know. And then so our butter has melted some. It's melted too much actually. Oh Lord. Okay, so we're just gonna put that on the board. Okay, so my potatoes are done. And the way you want to check them is, let me turn this heat off a second. And get rid of this can over here that I have to discard. Okay, so our potato is done. And the way we do that is we're going to take one of them out. I'm going to put it on the plate just so you can see it. And here we go. So I'll leave it in the skin like it is. Then I'll take a fork and go right into it. And see how easy it goes in all the way down to the bottom with no resistance. That's how soft you want it, okay? All right, so let me put this back into the pot. Because what I'm going to do now is simply cool off my potatoes. And I'm doing it in the sink. And this is my first time ever showing the sink. Normally, when I'm cooking, I'll have soapy water in the sink. And I'm just going to pour this hot water in here. I don't know how well you can see me, but it's all right. You've done it before. And then all you want to do is just turn your cold water on and just let that run for a minute to calm that down. Okay? All right, so while your pot is running with cold water in it, and you can reach in with your hands and feel that the potatoes are cool enough, what I'll do is just turn this water off for a second, and then what I'll do is just go ahead and peel the skin off and see how easily this is coming off. You don't have to waste your time peeling the potato when it'll just come off like this when you boil it off. This is a trick that I learned from my mom. She used to do it this way. And it was so much easier to do it that way. Okay? And then what you want to do is just make sure that you have a bowl available off to the side because this potato is still nice and warm. Okay? And let me grab a glass bowl here. All right. So I'm just going to put this potato in the bowl like so. See how quick and easy I did that? I'll show it to you again. All right, so potato cooked till it's nice and soft. And then you just take your hand and just peel the skin off. And then that way you don't lose as much potato. Okay, a lot of times when people are peeling, you lose quite a bit of the potato in the skin, peeling it off. Okay, and so you go ahead and remove the eyes that you see that you don't like, the dark spots or whatever you need. Take off those ends. Okay. And then this potato is rinsed. You got it right in this cold water. And like I said, it was just plain water, cold water that I put the potato in and brought it up to the boil. Okay. And see, as simple as that. Okay. So I just went through it with my hands real quick. It's cool enough on the outside for me not to burn, but yet it's still hot enough. Okay. then I can mash it and add my ingredients and it'll really stick. All right. And then that way, if you have a garbage disposal, then it's easy cleanup. All you gotta do is get rid of the water and turn on your garbage disposal. Let everything go down. And guess what? You got a basically clean sink. You got rid of the skins. You're keeping it clean and making it easy. All right. So that's just a little tip that I do, because like I said, I try to work smart and not hard. So some things you learn by trial and error, and then other things you learn from others. All right. So glean either way. That's what I would suggest you do. All right. So my potatoes are in this glass bowl here. All right. And then we're going to bring this around so you can see it. As soon as I get rid of some of this stuff here, I'm going to move the camera around just a little bit. All right. All right, so we got our bowl here. And what I'm going to do, I already have my oven preheating to 375 degrees. And then so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some more butter, because I like plenty of butter in my potato pie. So altogether it's about, I would say for these two potatoes, I put about 3/4 of a stick. All right. And so what I'm going to do is just take my handy dandy masher here, and I'm just going to mash these potatoes. And I'm doing everything manually now. I do have a mixer, and I could do it that way, but I'm showing you the way to do it manually, the homemade way. I just mashed in that butter in there. Okay, and at this point, I will add a little bit of salt, because anytime you're working with potatoes, in my opinion, potatoes need salt. Okay, potatoes are primarily starch, and starch needs salts. Okay, so it's pretty much smooth now, but I'm just kind of like mashing it out. I'm not making it perfect. All right, so there we go. But I can. So all I'm doing is going down and pulling, going down and pulling, pushing it forward, pulling it back. Okay. But see how easy and quick that was to mash that. All right. So I'm going to add some salt here. Yep. And get our salt in here. So I'm going to pull out my salt run here and just put, I'm not making it salty, but I just want some salt in there, just a little bit. All right. So then what you want to do before you mix it around, make sure that salt is all the way through your potatoes. So just give it a quick stir with your spatula. Okay. See how I'm doing that? Okay. Nice and smooth. Then I'm going to take my custard that you saw me mix earlier. Give this another stir up. Okay. And then I'm just going to add this in. Add this right on in to those potatoes. Okay. So remember, we got almond milk in here. We have condensed milk. We have some nutmeg, a little bit of cinnamon, like pumpkin spice. And I'm just going to mix this together. All right. Right, and see how kind of watery it is. Don't worry about it, because trust and believe me, it's going to come together. Okay. You want it to be nice and pourable. You don't want it to be too thick. Sometimes I'll go in, and this is real cooking, so I don't like those black eyes that what they call them. So I'll just remove those. Okay, when I see them, you know, they're not going to hurt anything or anything like that. But sweet potatoes have the tendency to have those in them. It's not a big deal. Okay, but as you can tell, it's nice and watery. Okay, and then another trick that you can do when it's at this point is you can add some gelatin. Okay, You can add some gelatin to it to make sure that when it cooks together, it's going to be nice and light. It is going to come together. So a little trick that I do when I make sweet potato pie is I add just a little bit, just a sprinkle of black pepper. Yeah. So I make it I make it savory by putting salt and pepper in it. And then I add my sugar. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do now, a lot of these bulbs, this nutmeg clumped up on me. I'm going to give it a little taste. That's nice and sweet. That's got a good taste to it. Yep. So what I can do is to ensure that this potato pie that looks like it's not going to, because you see how soupy it is, like that. It looked like, oh no, it's not going to come together. Trust me, it will. And the way we're going to do that is we can get this gelatin that you buy in the store, okay? And you can add that to it, you know, to ensure that it will come together. All right. So make sure you read the instructions on the box. All right, but generally what you just want to do is just add an envelope to some liquid, okay? And so we'll just put it in this bowl here that I just washed. All right, and I'm just gonna put this in here like so. Okay. And then I'm just gonna take this fork here, give it a good quick rinse. And then I'm just gonna add a little water to it and stir it together until it's soluble, okay? See how I'm doing that? Just a little bit, you don't need a whole lot. I'll add a little bit more. And just until it dissolves, okay? Whisk it up until it dissolves. All right. Now at this point, whatever your sweetness level is, you better check it at this point. If you want more sugar, you got to add it, because whatever it tastes like at this point, that's what it's going to taste like when it's done. So if it ain't got enough sugar now, it ain't going to have enough sugar later. You see my point? So that's one thing my mom always taught me. She always said that if it don't taste good now, it ain't going to taste good later. All right. So I'm just going to add this gelatin in there. All right. And then I'm just going to make sure that that's incorporated in there real good. So, and the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to actually whisk it. All right. To make sure, because the spatula is not working for me. All right. Next, let me get this bowl back a second so I can put this spatula in it. All right. So just be real easy with it. Turn your bowl like I'm doing. All right. And the only thing that I'm going to add to this is a little bit of lemon juice, because I need a little bit of lemon juice to make sure that it tastes nice and fresh. Okay. All right. So what I did was added about another quarter of a cup of sugar to get it to the sweetness that I like. But like I said, try it and see if it's sweet enough for you, and then add more. And I also added a little bit more of nutmeg, because I really like the nutmeg flavor to be pronounced in my sweet potato pie. So I have a frozen deep dish crust pie crust rather. And what I'm going to do now is just simply ladle this, okay? So you notice I did this all by hand. Now, of course, I could have done this in my mixer, but I didn't do that. So what I'm going to do is just ladle a little bit right into the pie shell. Let that excess drip off. And all you got to do is just fill up your pie shell like so. And remember, I only had like 2 very large sweet potatoes, okay? Doesn't have to be perfectly smooth, but trust and believe me, it will all come together. So now understand that the pie is going to rise above the crust, so you don't want to fill it all the way up to the brim. So I would fill it up about that far. Okay. So I have one pie here. And then I have another one here. You just want to keep stirring and make sure everything is nice and mixed. Because you want all that goodness in your pie. So your eggs is going to help bind it, and it's going to help it stand up. Even though it seems like it's all watery and soupy and whatever, trust me, it's going to be perfect. All right. So I put a little bit more in here. All right. So about that much, like so. All right, I got enough for another pie, but I'm going to put these two pies in the oven. And in my oven, I have, let me move the camera so you can see. Okay. In my oven that's already preheated, that's hot up to temperature, I have a cookie sheet, because you don't want to cook pies in an open oven because sometimes they overrun. So you want to use a cookie sheet of some sort, or some type of pan that you can put the pies in, and that way you don't have to worry about it. Okay, and people be concerned about where it's going at on the inside. I don't really care at this point. My racks is just set up so where I can easily maneuver stuff in my oven. Okay, so I'm gonna take my handy dandy pot holders here. I'm gonna pull this out. Okay, so I pull it out there, and then I'm just gonna put my pies on it. All right, very, very easily. Okay, like that. And these pies are going to take about 45 minutes or so. In 45 minutes, I'm going to check them and see how done they are. Anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour, because like I said, I got it at 375 degrees. So you just want to move it back in nice and easily, just like so, and bake away. All right. So we'll be back when you're done. So I obviously just put those pies in the oven. So I'm going to set my timer, and I'm going to set it for 45 minutes. All right. So it's set, and we're going to cook away, and then we're going to come back and see what our finished product is. Of course, this remaining sweet potato mix that I have here, I'm going to make sure that I put that in another pie shell, because we ain't wasting nothing. All right. Okay. Okay, so we're almost at the point where the sweet potato pies are done. And so what I did is at the 10-minute mark, I remember I set it to 45 minutes. I turned it down from 375 to 350 degrees so that my crust will not get so dark, because I like my pies to be nice and bright. Okay. Also, I told you that I was going to add some lemon juice to it, and I just simply forgot to do it. Okay. It's not something that you absolutely have to do, but it is something that I normally do. Okay. So, and when I say I add a little bit of lemon juice, I'm talking about with the amount of potatoes that I had. I would probably put in about anywhere from a couple of teaspoons, something like that, a teaspoon to 2 teaspoons of lemon juice. Okay. And I filled up 2 deep dish pie shells, and I still had a total of 2 cups plus of sweet potato mix. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to use this for another application. Okay. But y'all saw that I had quite a bit. I could have made a third pie, 3 pies with 2 very large potatoes. Okay. If I had been thinking, I would have weighed those potatoes so I could tell you exactly how much they weighed, so you would know exact measurement. But just remember to get 2 large potatoes. Okay. So my timer's about to go off. Here, and so my pies are like smelling great. Okay. And one thing about when you're baking or whatever, you'll know pretty much whenever whatever you're cooking is done because you will really smell it. It'll be very, very fragrant. Okay. All right. So we're pretty much there, done. There's the timer. I'm going to go ahead and turn the timer off there. And so we're going to pull out the rack here. And so since I have it on this cookie sheet, it makes it easier for me to remove the whole thing. See how easy that is? It's all about convenience, okay? So I'm going to put the pies up here on the stove and the grates. I'm going to bring in the camera so you can see them up close. And obviously we're not going to cut into them or anything like that because they have to cool off. But there's the pies, the finished product there. All right, move some of that mess out the way. All right, but see, it's still bubbling and everything. It's got a nice brightness to it, okay? And so those are going to settle down and whatnot, and it's steam coming from them. So there you have it. Here's our potato pies, and when it's cool enough, I'll try it for you so you can see it, all right? So anywhere from, I cooked them for 45 minutes, but if you want yours a little bit dark, you can. And like I said, I started out at 375, and then I turned my temperature down to 350 at the last 10 minutes, okay? Because I noticed that my crust was starting to get nice and brown, and I don't like it to get too dark. So that's why I kind of calmed the oven down. If I had left it up, then it would have cooked it more. But I wanted that to be crisp, but not burned, okay? So I'm going to turn my oven off here. All right, go ahead and turn that off and let those pies cool, and we'll come back and try them for you. Okay, so my pie is cooled off enough. It's still warm, but it's cooled off enough so I can slice it up. I'll let it cool off roughly about 25 minutes or so. All right, so we mixed it up. It took me roughly, I would say probably about 30 minutes or so to boil those potatoes to get them where I wanted them nice and soft, okay? You saw how fast I was able to peel them, get them mashed up, and have everything all mixed up. Pour them into the pie shell, and then now here's our finished product. Still warm on the bottom, but here it is. I'll show it to you. Oop, don't want to lose it. Okay, so here's our finished product. Okay, so our pie is done. Okay, so if you have some whipped cream or some ice cream or something, that'll be good to put on it. But let me get the camera to go down and pan down to the pie. You can see it. Now, it came apart from the seam here, but sometimes that happens. Okay, it's no big deal to me, but you know, this is real cooking. So I'm just gonna take a butter knife and cut into it. And it's nice and soft still. Now, obviously, the more it cools, the more it's going to be set up, okay? And always, the first slice is the hardest one to get out. So the suggestion for you is get one of those pie cutter things. I don't have one, but, you know, you can do that if you want to. But I just want to make sure that I cut through the crust. All right. And my suggestion is that you cut a smaller piece, you know, cut a small sliver just to get that first one out, because the first one is usually the hardest one to get out. So hold on a second. I'm going to grab my spatula here, and that's what you can get is a nice spatula. Okay, and I'm just going to go in pull it out. Okay. So I kind of made a mess of that, but that's all right. Because trust and believe me, it's still going to be eaten. Now, because it is still pretty hot on the inside, it is, clean my table up there. It is kind of falling apart. So I don't really care about what it looked like right now. We'll get another slice. But I want to taste it. Okay. And I'll get another slice so y'all can see what it is. But it's nice and soft. And the more it sit, the more it's going to set up. But let me put my knife down here. Turn this up. Okay. All right. Y'all see me? Okay. So here's our finished product right here. Okay. Wow, is that good? Now, this pie is nice and fluffy. It's smooth. Let's go up. The one thing about the sweet potato pie is that, now I'm gonna be honest, I probably should have cooked it a little bit longer. Maybe another 10 minutes or so it could set up a little bit more. But this is good because what's going to happen is once my pie cool off, my pie is going in the refrigerator. And when they go in the refrigerator, it's going to set up even more. So this one is nice and soft on the inside of it. And the taste is just superb. Pure sweet potatoes. My crust is not too dry. It's just really, really good. I love a good pie filling, but the best thing to me still about any pie is the actual crust. I am a lover of the crust. So that's just what it is, y'all. So good. So try this recipe. See if you like it. I believe that you will. And make it to your sweetness. I would start with a cup. You can follow my recipe that I gave you here. Start with a cup of sugar. And make sure you use that. Make sure you use that condensed milk. Okay? And just enjoy. So I'm gonna cut another slice here since I got that first sliver out. And then this one should be, see, there it is. Now, like I said, this one is a little bit softer. These are a little bit soft. Now, technically, I can put it back in the oven and cook it for another 10 minutes or so, maybe 15, to get it to set up a little bit more. But personally, I don't need to set up that much more. Oh, that is just so good. It's creamy and it's warm. Sweet potato pie is good when it's slightly warm, not hot. And that's what it is right now. And it's just so good. So this was not the perfect looking pie, but it absolutely is the most tastiest. This pie is simply delicious. Thank you for watching my channel. And please like, share, and subscribe. Tell somebody about these videos, because we are having fun over here in this quarantine and cooking up some of my favorite foods and spending time with you on this video, okay? Probably don't need that on my fingernail. But, oh my gosh. Let me get this last bite. I just had 2 pieces of pie. So, that's gonna be good for me. I'm gonna make sure I eat this crust, because we don't want it to go to waste. Oh, yeah, crunch. Very, very good. So, just in this one sitting, I've almost eaten half a pie. See that? Yeah, I'll see that. Let's get that little piece out of there, because that needs to be eaten. But here we go. Sweet potato pie, nice and glossy. And let me tell you something else. This pie, in my opinion, is one of the best ones of the pies. I'm not a huge pie person, but I can work with some sweet potato pie. And it is absolutely, in my opinion, better than a pumpkin pie. Those are my thoughts. So, thank you for watching Simply Delicious, and I'll see you on the next go round. Bye for now.